Celebrate good times. Come on. It's a celebration. This is not a negative video in any way, shape, or form. This is a celebration video because today we're going to be celebrating the fact that Metroid Dread has indeed broke records. Metroid Dread has indeed become the best-selling Metroid game of all time, but one little caveat, one little asterisk, one little thing. It's not going to sell 3 million copies in its first year. Now, you could say, RGT, that's a bit of a bold statement, sir. All right, we still have until October. There's a couple more months. You don't think that the game is going to sell more copies between then and now? No, I do think that. You see, the whole crux of the Metroid Dread argument was the fact that Nintendo themselves has to come out and say, hey, we sold over 3 million copies of this game. Now, they did an announcement earlier this year, and everyone was like, RGT lost, but I didn't lose. Because I knew from then and there that Metroid Dread would have to sell a substantial amount to get another update before the month of October. We just had the physical report from Metroid Dread, of course, with all Nintendo Switch games, and Metroid Dread wasn't on that list. Because Nintendo doesn't usually update sales of stuff like that because of the fact that, well, unless it sells a substantial amount, over 1 million plus within the physical quarter, they're not going to talk about that game. And that was my whole point. That was my whole point about this. Once they announced that, you know, it sold nearly 2.8 million or a little over 2.8 million, I knew that I felt pretty safe. And people chastised me. They said, you're an idiot. And then there's also people that say, oh, well, that's stupid. All right. You're just assuming, you know, of course it sold over 3 million copies. Like it didn't sell anything. I don't know that for a fact. Do you know that for a fact? Unless a company comes out and tells you how many copies a game sold, you're just assuming. So by saying that I'm assuming that it's not selling anything, you are assuming that it is selling. And that's not fair. We're not in the game for assumptions here. We're in the game for hardcore facts. For information. F your feelings. I'm about the facts. And the fact of the matter is, I was right. Metroid Dread did not sell, by Nintendo standards, by Nintendo's announced data, 3 million copies in its first year. Now, I'm not here to poo-poo on the game or anything like that. I love Metroid Dread. I think it's a fantastic game. It's a super fun game. It's a great return to the classic Metroidvania style that so many of us love, but you have to keep it real. This game was always going to be a bit of a niche game, I felt. You know, it was going to hit a ceiling very, very quickly. People look at the Nintendo Switch sales and they assume that everything is going to sell like crazy. And yeah, things will probably sell a bit better than they have on previous consoles, but it's not going to make that big of a difference. It's not going to make a huge, massive difference. I mean, Metroid Prime 1 sold over 2 million copies on the GameCube. How many systems did the GameCube move? 20 million? This is now over 100 million, and the game only sold about 3 million. Now, let's be real here. That's still an impressive number, all right? And is he going to take off this crown and stop using the scepter? No, you son of a bitch, I'm not, because I'm a petty man, all right? There's very few things in life that make me happy, and when I'm right about something, I get happy because I'm petty. But it's still an impressive number to sell. Like, people, you look at games that released on the PlayStation 4, one of the best-selling consoles of all time, that haven't eclipsed those numbers. It's very impressive. It's just, you have to be realistic about the more niche games. And it's something that you're seeing with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Bayonetta 3, people giving you guys these astronomical numbers of what these games are going to sell. Yeah, they will probably sell better than their predecessors. But to say, oh, this so-and-so game is going to sell 5-6 million units, like, you're crazy. You're crazy. Not every game is a Kirby or a Mario or a Zelda or a Mario Kart. Not every game has this super wide appeal, this mass appeal. There are games that are released, there are games that are designed, there are games that come out on the Nintendo Switch that are dedicated games. They're games to round out the library of games for the system, so that they're not just like all, you know, cutesy 2D platformers or cutesy 3D platformers or stuff like that. They have games in their catalog that they release for the hardcore fan, for the jaded fan, for the old man or old woman or old person, because whatever you identify as, the old individual, all right? The old individual, they have games that'll appeal to you. But to say that these games are going to sell 5, 6, 7 million copies, it's silly. The data doesn't back that up. The data is available. It's readily available. Just go to any website and look up Nintendo Switch game sales, and you can see what these games are selling. And they're not selling, 10 million copies just because they came out on the Nintendo Switch. That's not to be negative about the quality of the games. That's not to diss the quality of the games or say anything bad about them. It is just what it is. And that's not a bad thing. But you have to keep in mind, I know a thing or two about the video game industry, okay? I know a thing or two about data and what's going to sell and what's not going to sell. Metroid Prime 4, I fully expect will outsell Metroid Dread. Whenever that comes out, whatever system that comes out on, that game is going to outsell Metroid Dread because it has more mass appeal. Think about it. Think about a first-person adventure game versus a 2D side-scrolling game. What game has more mass appeal? Not necessarily talking about quality of the games, but what game has more mass appeal? The first-person game. It looks better. It has the oohs and ahs. Ooh, look at these 3D environments and, different effects and graphical effects and crap like that. A 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania is a very smaller, niche audience, and that's not a bad thing. That is not negative about the quality of the games, but I'm taking my victory lap. I'm taking my victory lap. Balan Wonderworld, you can kiss my ass because I don't have to play you. I don't have to play you. Will I play you? I might, just for the lulz, because I'm a man of the people. I am a king of the people. I want to see my people happy, and my people want to see me play Balan Wonderworld. And I understand that. I understand you want to see me suffer because I am the king. And everyone wants to take down the king. Everybody wants to rule the world. Well, I rule the world. If I rule the world, imagine that. Imagine that. I free all my sons. I love them, baby. Balan Wonderworld, you can kiss my ass. Spawnwave John, you owe me a copy of Metroid Prime 4. I want a collector's edition. I don't care if you have to import that shit. I don't care if you have to make a collector's edition with your own 2 hands. You and your kids and your wife, you could do it as a school project. You could do it as a project to develop, motoring skills and stuff. I don't know how old your kids are, but if they can't, cut between the lines, you do it yourself. You're a very meticulous individual. But I have won. And I'm going to gloat in this. I'm going to be happy about this because it is a gorgeous, beautiful day for a king. The king of Metroid sales. Yes, I am this petty. I am a petty son of a bitch. But you know what? This is just a stupid fun video. Congratulations to Metroid Dread. Sincerely, congratulations to the game. It's the best-selling Metroid game of all time. It's probably sold over 3 million copies. I can admit that. But unless Nintendo themselves come out and says, hey, Metroid Dread sold over 3 million copies, you can't just assume. And that was my whole sort of, backdoor escape with this. And I knew it was going to come to fruition, and it did come to fruition. Hear ye, I declare myself the winner.